Hi, welcome to This is Nursery. Today I'm talking about how to fail correctly or failing efficiently. So anyone who's ever tried to teach me anything knows that I royally suck the first time I try anything, and I mean anything. So I have learned to embrace it, because once you've made all of the mistakes that you can possibly make, all that's left is success. So I developed, particularly in gardening, I've developed something called failing efficiently, and that is failing as many times as fast as you possibly can so that you're left with what can only be success after that. And I wanted to show you guys a little bit of my process and how I do that. This is actually how I developed my super secret seed raising mix. And I do have a couple of things in here for the sake of the video that I've already tested, but there's one thing in particular that I am needing to test, so that's why I thought I'd do this video with you. So I'll show you what I mean. So let's get a little bit sciencey. This is my plant book that I keep all of my observations in. So no more the sheets of paper everywhere. And what I've done, calling it science, what I've done is there are 3 variables that I wanted to test, and that is sun versus grow lights, watering from the top or bottom, and still air versus circulating air. So based on my experience with growing plants, I already know a couple of these, but specifically what I wanted to do for this test, what I need to learn is I suspect that my grow lights are not sufficient for the seedlings that I have. They were originally installed for microgreens, which they probably will be used for again, but the specific blue to red ratios, the heights, all that, they're really, really good for when plants are first germinating. But I suspect there's probably not enough light for growing seedlings, particularly when they start getting their true leaves. So let's have a look at the different scenarios that I've got done up. So the science experiment is across mustard, spinach, miner's lettuce, and alpine strawberries. And with just 3 variables being tested, or, well, technically 6 because I'm doing the opposites of each variable as well, over 4 plants actually gets you quite a lot of data. From there, I'm recording the days that it takes to germinate, the germination percentage, dates of the first leaves, dates of the true leaves, and then dates that I repot. And once I've got the data in, I'm just making a little log of what is the best. So in regards to germination days, or any of the days, it'll be what hit the fastest, germination percentage, what hit the most reliably. So all of these are in season at the moment, and I plan on recreating this when we start planting for spring as well, just to see if there's any variances. I've already determined some interesting things, that miner's lettuce in winter does not care. It will grow with a fairly reasonable percentage, whereas other things actually have been affected. So here's what it looks like in my greenhouse. So broken down, I've got in the sun, watered from the top, and in still air. On the other side of that, in the sunlight, watered from the bottom in still air. Down here I've got grow lights, watered from the top, still air, and grow lights watered from the bottom and still air. Moving over here, I've got the 2 grow light, each one watered from the bottom and the top, but they're near the fan, so they have circulating air. And then up here, got watered from the top and bottom, but in the sun with circulating air. And as you can see, the fans are right there, so the air is really well circulated in this spot. So it's really, really early days for this experiment, but already I've got a few things confirmed, which is seeds generally don't germinate that well around circulating air, which, you know, you think about it, makes a lot of sense because the seeds are probably drying out, and of course seeds need moisture in order to germinate. But once they start to sprout, they really want to be in circulating air. And it's, I've heard some gardeners reference it as it's like being patted. So it's like giving them cuddles to give them some circulation, and it allows them to grow up really strong because they get used to that kind of environment. It also prevents a little bit of transplant shock for when they come out of the greenhouse and then go into the yard, because of course there's wind out there, particularly where I am, because you get the roaring 40s. The other thing that I have tested in the past, which is proving to have really, really different results, is where you water. So when you've just planted the seeds, you want to keep that top layer completely moist, so that the seeds retain moisture and things like that. But after that, you want to start encouraging the roots to grow down. And that's why you want to water from the bottom. It also stops the risk of certain diseases, funguses, that sort of thing, from affecting the plant, particularly in your nightshade families. They don't like to be watered from the top. As for the actual test that I'm doing for my science, the grow lights have not yielded any specific results just yet, but that's because they've all just sprouted. They're not at the point of getting their true leaves yet, so time will tell on that one what happens. So what I really like about this system is that it allows you to kind of look at things in a slightly different perspective. But in regards to failing efficiently, look at all of these ways. Some are successful, some are failing, but so many all at once. If you were to try each of these scenarios one by one, it would take a really long time. So this is my version of failing correctly in order to achieve success quickly. I find it really interesting. I think, in school, we're really taught that failing is a bad thing. But in actual fact, failing is just what we do before we hit success. And it should be seen as a positive thing rather than as a negative. And I really, really encourage myself, but I encourage everybody else to try different things that may not work. Maybe you think they won't work. Maybe they won't work. But give it a go anyway, just all in the name of learning. And you might be surprised what you find. So I hope you found this really helpful, or at least, starting to think in a slightly different way. Embrace failure. Think outside the box and just give it a go. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching. It means the world to me to have you here. Don't forget to check out below how else you can follow along with me. I've also now released all of my weekly plant vlogs on YouTube if you'd like to follow along with those as well, which is just the ins and outs of living with plants. All right, I'll see you soon with another video.